October 23rd, 1956, a moment when the world stood still. A day when the brave people of Hungary decided that enough was enough. In the heart of Budapest, students and citizens flooded the streets, united in a single voice against the iron grip of Soviet control. They believed in freedom. They believed in hope. And above all, they believed in change. But let's rewind. How did we get here? Hungary, like much of Eastern Europe, was handed over to the Soviet Union after World War II. The global superpowers carved up Europe like a chessboard. Hungary, it landed squarely under Soviet control. The resentment brewed fast. The Russians, they never forgot Hungary's role in World War II. Hungarian troops had been forced to the Eastern Front by Hitler, and there, they killed thousands of Russian soldiers. The Soviets were out for revenge, and revenge they got. Life under the Soviet Union was a living nightmare. The government controlled everything, from your wages to your food to where you lived. Imagine this. You wake up one day and there's another family living in your house because you were forced to share it. The local baker, he earned as much as a doctor. And if the chickens didn't lay eggs, guess what? You were punished. That's right. The Russians had no mercy. Productivity wasn't a request. It was a command. Prison became the home for anyone who dared resist. Speaking freely, thinking differently, that was enough to get you thrown into a cell or dead. But the cracks of the regime were growing. On the surface, it seemed like the Russians had total control, but beneath that, there was an undercurrent of resistance. People were fed up, and it was the students who finally said, enough. Before the revolution erupted, there were whispers of discontent growing louder by the day. On October 16, 1956, students at the University of Szeged openly denounced the Communist Student Organization and formed their own independent group. This was no small act of defiance. It was the beginning of a nationwide student movement that would soon set the entire country ablaze. The students' bold stand wasn't just about rebellion for the sake of it. They wanted change, real change. They demanded the withdrawal of Soviet troops, free elections, and freedom of speech. What started in a university classroom spread like wildfire across Hungary's academic institutions. By October 22nd, their demands were all ready to be presented, and the country stood on the edge of revolution. Fast forward to October 23rd, 1956, the day that changed everything. Students marched, not just a handful, but thousands. Their demands, human rights, freedom, and the end of Soviet rule. This wasn't just another protest. This was a revolution. By evening, what started as a peaceful demonstration escalated. Crowds swarmed the streets, pulling down Stalin's statue, a symbol of everything they hated. And when that giant, cold bronze head hit the ground, it wasn't just metal breaking. It was a people breaking free from the chains of oppression. Now here's where the story gets complicated. Hungary believed that the United States would come to their aid. Radio Free Europe broadcasted promises. America is coming. Keep fighting. They were told that help was on the way, and this fueled the revolution. Imagine it. Thousands of Hungarians encouraged by the thought that the world's greatest superpower had their backs. But the truth? Help was never coming. The revolutionaries, full of hope, would soon face the cold reality. The Soviets? They wouldn't let Hungary go so easily. Within days, Russian tanks rolled into Budapest, and the Hungarian people, armed with only a few rifles, homemade Molotov cocktails, and sheer determination, stood their ground. But bravery wasn't enough. After 12 brutal days of fighting, when Moscow saw that America wasn't coming, the revolution was crushed. Thousands were dead, and even more were imprisoned or exiled. The streets of Budapest were soaked with blood, but the spirit of the people was far from defeated. The Hungarian Revolution of 1956 is one of the greatest untold stories of defiance against oppression. Although it was ultimately unsuccessful, it ignited a fire that would burn for decades. The Soviet Union may have silenced the uprising, but they could never fully suppress the hunger for freedom. And in 1989, that hunger would finally be satisfied when Hungary declared itself free from Soviet rule, becoming the first to break away from the Eastern Bloc. Today, as we reflect on the bravery of those who fought during the Hungarian Revolution, let us not forget the personal stories that weave through history. My father's journey from factory worker to a freedom fighter exemplifies how courage can emerge from the darkest of times. Fight, fight, fight. His determination to stand against oppression reminds us that the spirit of resistance is alive in each of us. To discover how one family's quest for freedom led to a dramatic escape against all odds, click the link in the description. This is not just a story of the past, it's a testament to the indestructible spirit of humanity. Join me in honoring their legacy and explore how their fight can inspire all.